before the net when people tried to learn the whole facts. Amazon, Bezos, monopolize the pesos. Hey, you see I'm trying to...
Yo, welcome back. It's your boy, Mr. I Am Eddie Jackson, and we back in the Director's Den for another episode. Listen, I got some fire in the tunnel for y'all, man. I ain't really even released the last episode yet. The last one y'all seen was the Director's Den on High Street, and we was partnering with Ali Burger, and we did our media day for the movie, man. So appreciate everybody that stopped by that one, man. There was so many good vendors out there, so many black-owned businesses, and just local businesses, period, that were just supporting the movie. Truly appreciate you guys. This is episode 29, right? Like, they say, like, I think only, like, 5% of podcasts make it past, like, episode, like, 16 or 15 or something. So I'm truly blessed, man, and I'm truly honored to just be able to be a part of, you know, a culture, man, a movement of gems. You know, that's how I look at the Director's Den. It's a culture of gems, man. You know, we allow people to come on, and the biggest thing for me is extracting gems from people's stories. Everybody knows me. I love a good story. I love hearing about somebody's life and how different obstacles and different things that they had to go through, man, made them the person that they are today, right? And is also setting the standard for where their footsteps are going to go in the future as well. So I got a good one here for y'all, man. This is definitely one that's close to me, and I hope you guys truly enjoy it. Welcome back to another exciting episode on the Director's Den. Today, we're not just off the couch. We're kicking it in high gear with someone I've known for years, a friend, a brother, a mentor, and a true powerhouse in the world of college athletics. This episode is extra special because, to me, I'm dedicating this to someone who meant the world to both of us. Red Pop. I mean, this is my dad's best friend. This is Jamie's grandfather. Red Pop, this episode's for you, man. We're here to honor his memory as we dive into the incredible journey of Mr. Jamie Wood. Jamie's story is nothing short of inspiring. A former Ohio State football athlete, an intern, compliance officer, sports administrator, and most recently, assistant athletic director of NIL at Texas A&M. Jamie has done it all. He's someone who's been at the highest level of college sports, navigating the complex world of athletics, and with a unique perspective that empowers all athletes of any sport to maximize their human potential. From growing up in Columbus, Ohio, fulfilling his childhood dream of playing for the Ohio State University, to facing career-ending injuries and rising through the ranks of collegiate athletics, Jamie's journey is a testament to resilience, leadership, and passion. So without further ado, let me give a warm welcome to my good friend, Mr. Jamie Wood. What's going on, boss?
EJ, man, that was a great introduction, man. Then you threw the Red Pop in there, and I was not expecting that.
Shout out Red Pop, man.
Shout out to Red Pop.
I feel like that was definitely one of the glues
yeah,
that kind of kept our families together, man, for a good part of years. Obviously, just friendship, playing ball together, high school and stuff. But when I think about you, I always think about Red Pop, man. You know,
yeah.
Just had that infectious smile, and I feel like embodied everything that football and, you know, trying to make you guys be the best. I mean,
we had the same name. His name was James Wood as well. So I mean, I feel like we all connected to our ancestors, whether good, bad, or indifferent, man. We're from them.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you honoring him.
Yeah, for sure.
And thank you for the opportunity to be in the den, man. I've been checking you out, and I'm inspired by your creativity and your persistence to push through, bro.
My dog, man. You know, it's been a long time coming. Like I said, episode 29. Not a lot of people even get here, you know, and this is just the beginning, man. You know, just having authentic conversations, man. I'm glad to have you here, Jamie.
Yeah.
Because, you know, outside of just like family and outside of like sports, like you really are a big impact and a figure on what college sports can look like going forward, right? I mean, NIL is a big part of what you do and what you embody, right? And
Yeah.
being at the forefront of that when it was initiated and launched. We're gonna get into all that, but like I just want to let you know, bro, you're a powerhouse, man, and I hope you continue to educate yourself so that you can educate others.
Yeah, and, I,
I,
and I'll share on that, bro, because I appreciate you saying that loudly and saying that to me, because I need affirmation more than you know. If you study love languages, I think a lot of men need words of
that's my
affirmation
number one love language. That's
more
what my
than
wife.
we say. And I
Yep.
think as I venture into this new entrepreneurial journey, you saying that, but then me also seeing you and being a part of your entrepreneurial journey is inspiring to me. So, thank you, bro, and I received that, and I'm learning to believe that about myself. Because if you don't believe in yourself, it's I don't care who believes in you.
Right.
And so that's one of the things I'm working on right now. So thank you, bro.
Oh, no doubt, man, no doubt. Jamie, what was a earliest memory of falling in love with sports?
You out the gate,
Out the game,
out the
man.
gate. So my story, backstory, and I often tell this is my parents had me in high school. I was not a playing child.
Yeah.
And for what I know of my parents today, sports play a pivotal role in their life. My mom played basketball. She ran track. She was the captain of the cheerleading and drill team.
Mm,
My dad played football, basketball, ran track as well. And so sports has kind of been integral in my parents' lives, separate of me. And I think in a lot of ways, that's part of how they met and part of how they connected is through sports. And then ultimately they had me in high school. And what I remember vividly growing up and kind of seeing my grandparents is I had like a little number 32. My dad was number 32, and I had a jersey, showing up to my dad's games in uniform,
sweet.
just supporting him. And so I didn't remember that obviously growing up, but as I grew to be able engaged in sports and involved in sports, man, I was good at it.
Mm-hmm.
I learned that, and then also I learned that my family valued it. They saw value in it, and so what I see it as now is like it was a uniting force. Having not grown up with my parents in my household together, my
Yeah.
mom and my dad, they both went their separate ways, happily married. Um, Saturdays, Jamie had t-ball, Jamie had basketball, Jamie. I didn't play football until sixth grade, so it was really basketball and baseball that
Mm.
I would see the whole troops and the whole clan rally.
Pull up.
Yeah, they pulled up, man. And so for me, harmony and unity mattered.
Yeah.
And having not had that growing up, sports is where I saw that.
I think I never knew you played baseball
Mhm.
or t-ball. I think that's one thing that all kids go through. You go through the t-ball,
It
playing,
was coach
trying
pitch.
out
I
all
got
the.
all the way up to coach pitch.
Okay.
So
So and most of us find out real early that we either don't like it or we're not good at it
Yeah.
when we gotta pitch ourselves and hit the ball.
I wish I stuck with it. I might be in a different situation.
Hey man, baseball players. I didn't know this for the longest, but one of the highest paid athletes, that's out there,
Baseball.
are MLB players. And not just to touch on just the financial aspect of it, but I hear from baseball players all the time how gratifying the game is to them. I never really got into baseball like that, but I did play all the way up to coach pitch, and it was fun while it lasted. Driving park, in the hood.
Represent.
Represent,
Yeah.
man. When you look back at growing up in Columbus, how big of a role did any collegiate sports play in your growing up? Like, what was your dad's favorite college team? Did he kind of force that on you?
We grew up Buckeyes, man. Being in Columbus, Ohio, I bled scarlet and gray. I remember watching, Team Up North game, Team Up North being Michigan. I remember watching those games it was a event, right?
Mm.
At the barbershop. I grew up. My dad owns a barbershop, cuts hair, still in there to this day.
Mm-hmm.
And talk in the barbershop was often about sports. Who's the GOAT? This was before LeBron. So like I've always been around sports, even just through I think a lot of men bond around sports.
Mm-hmm.
I think sports, food, and music are three of the like universal. I would say we talked about love languages earlier. I think it's like a uniting language that we
Yeah.
all can kind of resonate and connect around.
I agree.
And so for me, Ohio State was it. Ohio State was a dream, and I think if you tap back into like where we went to high school,
Shout out Pick Central.
Pick Central, man. That culture and kind of that was a pivotal moment in my life because I moved back to live with my dad for the first time in my life. 6th grade, when I moved to Pickerington, when I met you and your brother, that was my first time living with my dad. I always grew up with my mom.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
So, and your mom lives in Atlanta now.
She does.
Did she live in Atlanta then?
No, man. We lived in Germany.
In Germany?
We lived in. You probably didn't
No
know
wonder
any of it.
everybody got the Kobe references towards you.
I
bro.
guess maybe the look-alike, but
The look-alike and the living overseas.
Yeah.
What was she doing over there?
So my mom got married to my stepfather.
Okay.
And we moved there because he was deployed.
Oh, he's
Shortly
military. Okay.
after they got married, he was deployed, and I was deployed with my mom because she had custody, and that was kind of the living arrangement up to this point. I would still see my dad in the summers, every other weekend. He was around and active. We were in the same city, but that sudden change to move to Germany shook things up a decent amount.
Yeah.
One for me as a kid and my life that I had built here, but then.
How long were you there?
3
Like, what
years.
age? So 3 to 6.
So no, I was age 9 to 11.
Oh, you said 6th grade.
Yeah, 6th grade.
9 and 11. So
dang,
4th,
you really
5th. You got memories
Yeah,
there.
3rd, 4th, and 5th. I remember. I loved it. I learned to love it. I didn't, I remember I was planning to be on the All-Star team for a coach pitch. And I had to forfeit that because we had to make the move, man. So that was the end of my baseball
The
career.
original Karate Kid, y'all. The original Karate Kid for sure.
Something like that. Call it what you want, man. But moving back to Ohio, it was cool for me to have my first tackle football experience living with my father. Knowing that is a uniting piece. That was something that he cared about. And my grandpa, who happened to be an All-American in high school, like there's a lineage of good football players in my family. None of them happened to go to college though. And so I wasn't thinking going to Ohio State at that time, but I was like, man, I'm gonna play football because my dad loves football.
So you found that the love that obviously there's a lot going on here.
A whole lot.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah.
6th grade, you come back home, you live in, and this is a way for you to bond also with your father. Were those the direct intentions, or did that just happen by happenstance? You got into playing the game, you're out here in Pickerington playing football, and the next thing you know, it's just so happened to be one of the games that your grandpa and your dad, who both are here, love.
Yeah.
And they can teach you how to be the best in.
I think it was a byproduct. I think there were a series of things. Being the new guy in a new community that I knew nothing about.
Yeah.
Sports is one of those things that you can kind of grow in status and connection with people, right? You belong to something beyond just being in a classroom.
Yeah.
Blaine Burgess, Mr. Coach Burgess was my first coach. And I remember we used to watch film. He coached us very well. We went to the championship and lost to Zach Bourne's team. Patrick White was on that team. Rest in peace to my guy P. White.
Shout out P. White, man. Rest in peace.
But man, yeah, Pickerington and football, it's known, right? And I didn't know that moving here as a kid. But you get ingratiated into that culture and PYA football, and you grow up the ranks, and you start working out at the high school. You go to the junior high, and they're running some of the same plays as the high school. All of that, I think, cultivated me as an athlete in a way that I probably didn't intentionally think about, but it's just the environment. And I think so much of what I know now is the culture, the environment that you create. Really drive. It could be the difference maker between success and maybe not failure, but maximizing your potential. Your environment matters, and the culture that you grow up in matters.
Yeah. It's so crazy. When we moved out to Pickerington, my dad said, you got to adapt with the environment you in. We come from the hood, you know what I mean? Like Fifth Avenue, like, seeing people shooting and all types of stuff to, at a very young age, and coming out here to Pickerington, which is like, I never thought I had seen anybody, a Caucasian person before in my life. I was like, where we at? The house we lived in was like 3 times, 4 times the size of the house. And I, as a kid, you happy with whatever you have, right? You don't really understand what's better until you get exposed to better. And then you pull up and you're like, why we in this big old house? I get my own room. I get the, you know what I mean? Yeah. And so it was just such a culture shock. And I definitely understand what you mean. Like coming out here, And I can only imagine what it's like coming from Germany to Pickerington. But coming from the hood to Pickerington, there was a lot of things that I knew I had to grow in. And my parents knew I had to grow in.
And I kind of like have coined a term, and this is probably not original, but like first generation suburban black man.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I was first generation. My dad grew up in the city. My mom grew up in the city. And so there is a unique experience coming into a community like this. And now it's changed drastically.
Right.
It's
Starting
different.
to think it's 100% African Americans out here.
Man, it's different. But I think being a pioneer in that regard,
that's for sure.
Was something I didn't really think about. But now looking back, it's like, oh, my parents couldn't really relate to some of the experiences that I was having. But sport was that thing that I could transcend any differences, any challenges. It was an escape.
Before we move along, Jamie, one other question I have about your youth pertaining to, was there ever a moment that you just remember as a kid, one day I'm going to make it? And then what fueled that motivation and what kept you going?
Man, I don't know that I remember vividly any conversations with myself around that. I always love hearing athletes talk about that, and you got sheets of goals and things that they wrote down.
Yeah.
I don't know that I have that or I had that. I think, man, there was so much going on in my life, and there was so much that I didn't really have control of that were adult decisions and family decisions that were in the best interest of at that time for them. That I kind of forfeited, I think, my agency for myself, right? And I'm learning to take, direction for myself and to guide my life. I'm learning that now. But I think what I did lock into, man, is like, I knew I was good at sports. I knew I was athletic. I knew people would cheer. I knew people wanted to see me ball. And I had a gift, man. So
you had a good support system.
Yeah, and they lifted me up, bro. And so I've always just been motivated by just trying to just having fun, but then also I wanted to prove people, I wanted to make people happy.
Yeah.
And this is, again, there's a double edge to that, right? You want to perform well so your family can support and be proud, but then there's that people pleasing line too, where in other areas of your life, I'm living for them instead of living for me. So I'm learning that still,
right?
I think that's a ever going process when you grow up trying to seek validation. I think that's normal as a kid,
right? And as a man,
you want people to be proud of you.
Yeah.
So
I think you hit it definitely on the head when you said trying to seek validation and then learning that my life is not my own, right? And I think, that's only something that comes with faith. It's only going to come with time. It's not something that you just jump into. Some kids may get it a little sooner. I feel like you're starting to see that more with a lot of, athletes, man, just being very Christian and Christian, coming from Christian families. I look at like guys like Sonny Styles, Lorenzo Styles, I've been watching them since high school. You see them come up just very mannerable, very I feel like they understand a lot of things that we probably are just now understanding at an earlier age. And even still, they got to still walk it, right? They still got to walk through it and go through it.
Yeah.
And life will teach us all the lessons that we need to learn. But I definitely feel like, that's major, realizing that, hey, that's the whole part about being on a team. This play ain't for just me. Every play ain't for me to catch the ball. Every play ain't for me to get the tackle. Sometimes I'm the sacrifice for the touchdown. You get what I'm saying?
100%.
Sometimes I got to throw my body out there so that the running back can get behind me.
That's life.
Right? I got to block. I got to do these. You know what I mean? And so, and so it's realized that there's one common goal amongst most of our community in our village. And how do we attain that? How do we go after that?
Yeah.
You played Pick Central ball. And then you get the call, right? You get the call to go to Ohio State University. I feel like I remember the day when you got offered. You was visiting, right? Wasn't you on a visit?
I actually got a phone call in the basement. I remember it vividly. Coach Tressel called. It was like my junior year, so I was a late recruit. I wasn't recruited very high.
Right.
Honestly, my first visit to Ohio State was a guest of Patrick White's. And I wasn't getting recruited. Cincinnati and some other schools were offering. Cincinnati was probably number one on my list at the time, but they were my first offer after Westerville South game my junior year. But then all of the other offers start picking up: Penn State, Stanford, back when Harbaugh was there, Kentucky, and I think ultimately the Notre Dame offered as well. Brian Kelly, Brian Kelly. Once he left Cincinnati, so yeah, the Ohio State call comes in, bro. My recruitment is done. Like honestly, like it was a dream. It was something I was extremely proud of. It was something I was aspiring to. Once I realized playing in college was in my future.
Right.
Ohio State was where I wanted to be.
Yeah. So you get the call. Didn't Tressel come to the house at one
He
point?
came to the house for a home visit.
Yeah, in the room that nobody can sit in.
That room.
That
my dad let him.
I was like, what?
So can you paint? Let me paint this picture. My dad is a barber, right? So aesthetics, appeal, looks matter.
Yeah.
He changes people's lives. When they sit in the chair, they look one way. They come out feeling and look another way. And as a black man, that's therapeutic.
That.
Yeah, that's a therapeutic experience. But in his house, both in his yard, the lines that you put in the grass, and then also in his carpet in a couple rooms in his house. He does the same thing, and so it's just for show.
Right.
There's a TV on the wall, you just can't walk in that room. He's since relaxed, and it's Jeremiah's laying in there right now. but yeah. Tressel got a chance to walk in there.
Yeah.
That's Jim.
That was probably one of the first feet to touch the floor, I think.
100%. Yeah. Him and Red Pop were in there. I remember taking a picture with them. And I can get that to you. So if you want to,
yeah, for sure, yeah, definitely get that to me, man. And so you look at Ohio State, you look at Jim Tressel, you get this offer. Life has changed at this moment. You got to go into your senior year. You have a great senior year. Come out All-American, play an All-American game, U.S. Army All-American game. Talk about that experience, man, and then segueing into Ohio State. What was those feels like getting there and being part of that team?
Man, I'll go back 1 second. The junior year of highlight video, I would spend my study halls in Coach Lamonaco's room editing my own tape. And I took advanced technology, television. So I was on the morning show. I understood Final Cut Pro. Some of the things that you do and that you do in your profession now, I actually love that stuff. And early on, as I look back, man, I was in the lab cooking up my own highlight tape. And I don't know if I knew to do this, but I put my best plays at the front. Coaches don't watch 3-minute, 4-minute long highlight tapes. They got 100 kids that they're recruiting. So for any recruit listening to this or any family listening to this, put your best tape at the front. And even now, they have more access to full game length, and they're looking at that too. They want to see how you are when you're not getting the ball, all of the other elements. But I had a great mix of offense, defense, effort plays, special teams plays that I put together in some of my more pivotal, man, that dude is good, eye-popping highlights. I did that. And I would go game by game. After each game, I would cut up clips so that at the end of the season, I had a fire junior highlight tape. And that, honestly, I think helped me get recruited. And not that I did it alone. Obviously, the support and Lamonaco being willing to let me come in his classroom and the exposure of Pick Central. But I remember putting in that work. And me and my dad packaging DVDs at the time. Some of y'all don't even know what DVDs are. But we packaged them and sent them to, I would say, a handful of 50 schools. So we took effort to gain exposure. This was before social media. This was before Huddle. And so you're taking me back, man, to think about, man, my dad is a special man to just in a variety of ways, but especially with that, man. Like, I needed that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think as a kid we probably would have had half the direction that we do have, right? Like just thinking about some of the things that we needed to do. If we had social media at our fingertips like they do now, I mean,
you probably be in trouble.
Who said I probably would be in trouble? Y'all would have thought I was a bully. But at the same time, you know what I mean? Think about how much exposure, self-exposure, weekly exposure that
Yeah.
these kids get. Not just from themselves, from guys like myself.
Yeah.
Right? Showing up to the games, taking photos of them, doing videos and different things like that, right? Like, and posting those and getting them 20, 30, 40, 50,000 views, and they didn't even collab with it. You get what I'm saying? Like, and giving them that exposure. If you had that, do you feel like would that still make Ohio State be the end all be all?
I don't think it gets any bigger than Ohio State.
Gotcha.
And I'm
I don't either.
I'm biased. But when you think about the brand, the value of the brand in football,
Mm-hmm.
and then the value of the brand as a block O logo, you think about their social media page. You had Carter on here, man. That dude is helping to drive engagement. And now that you see that thing is over 1 million followers.
Yeah.
Colorado, if you think about the Dion effect, the influence of that man drove that page and drove that social, and now that is an asset that can be monetized. And so when you think about individual athletes, when we start tapping into this NIL discussion, even pre-NIL, Jamie going to Ohio State, I had a value in my brand as a player and as a entity or as a commodity that Ohio State were willing to invest and offer in. And so it's now just, you got following, you got other measures of brand value beyond just your play and your highlight tape that you send on a DVD. So exposure is extremely important, and I'm grateful to Pick Central, the people that came before us, the Chaz Andersons, the Terrence Whites. Those folks helped trailblaze, and then I took it further, and then Eisen and Eiler and all of these cats, man, like we are all, it's a flywheel effect.
Yeah. You look at Pick Central ball now, you smile. You know, people always say, "Why are you still there? Why do you still support them? Why are you still like, you know, you just an old dude on the sideline with a whole bunch of?" It's because, bro, like, you understand. Yeah, we played a big part in making this program as successful. There was no Kirk Herbstreit Classic, but after we left, they started getting Kirk Herbstreit Classics and playing in all these big games. Now they get national rankings, and now it's
different, man.
The wheel just keeps spinning, right?
It
Like,
does.
it don't stop. It don't stop just because we left. No, they got success has to continue, right? And I believe Pick Central will get back on the ball of success and find that new wheel under Coach Lamonaco's staff. But they did that. They carried that ball for a long time. You're at Ohio State.
Yeah.
You play. You get injured. I know that wasn't in the plans. Rotator cuff, right? Shoulder.
Multiple. It was like
multiple different
labrum.
things.
Yeah, bone. I had bone contusions. I had some different elements with my shoulder, and a lot of that started in high school.
Yeah,
the way that we played physical and the way that I played, man. I think, and then trying to bench 300 pounds as a high school, I probably wouldn't do that anymore. I would just try to get stronger with 225. There's a lot of things that I would do different, knowing what I know now about my body and about just what it takes, right?
Yeah.
But I think Pickerington prepared me for Ohio State to some extent. I think coming into Ohio State, I graduated early from high school. So I enrolled the spring of 2009. Naive, had no clue. I was 175, you know, at my heaviest at that point. Very skinny, very underdeveloped. But I got in there, man, and learning ball in the way that college, it's so much different than how we were taught. And that's no knock on our coaches, right? But the exposure, the experience, the older guys that gave me opportunities to kind of see, oh, this is college football. I was not ready to play. And so I redshirted my first year.
Yeah.
When you come from being the man, quote unquote, or Army All-American, you reach those heights of high school. I was at the pinnacle, right? It got no higher than the U.S. Army All-American game at that point, and the 5-star, 4-star, all of that. But to then be humbled once you go to the next ranks and you're now a small fish in a big pond, that is a unique experience that now, as I talk to athletes, like, it's common. You feel like you got to look yourself in the mirror. You got to lock in. For me,
you got to say, hey, everybody here is on scholarship. Majority.
Yeah, majority. And everybody was the man on their campus, right? Or at their school. And so that was a transition that I don't think I was prepared for. And I think when you now talk about mental health, something that is extremely important to me and that I'm an advocate for, I think I had a lot of mental health challenges that I found an escape through the streets, girls, partying, kicking it, right? Because the love that football once gave me, I was no longer getting, or the validation, it wasn't there. I'm in my hometown at my dream school, cheering, waving a towel in the stands. And so, the comments from coaches, the comments from people, like, man, what is he doing? But now with perspective, I realize even if I was a towel twirler, which I wasn't, um, many people would have loved to just had the jersey, right?
Right.
To just say that I was a part of the team or I walked onto the team.
Yeah.
So again, perspective is everything. But as a young 18, 17-year-old, I was in a whirlwind of an experience, man, that I don't think that I was necessarily prepared for.
So looking at your whole career, obviously a great athlete, and you have taken, like you said, you've been at the pinnacle. You've been at the top of high school athletics. I would say even without with the injuries, you were at the top in collegiate athletics. You know what I'm saying? Playing for one of the best teams, if not the best program out to date. You've held so many roles in college athletics, from your player to compliance officer to NIL director. Which role has challenged you the most, and which one has brought you the most joy?
Man, I would say they all have their own unique challenges. It's interesting to kind of think about, one, my journey to getting into working in college athletics. When I got injured, I think it was my second surgery, I decided, coaches were wanting me to come coach, to be a student coach. And to be real, I hated being at the facility as much as we had to be as a player. There's so much film. People don't realize it's not just go to practice for 2 hours and go home.
Yeah.
There's a lot more that goes into college ball. I was not a film junkie. I did not like it. I hate it. I felt like coaches wanted us to be there just to be there. And so I realized, one, if that was the player experience, coaches spent way more time there.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be a coach. And I had to come clear. It became clearer to me. So what happened is one of our now, who's the deputy athletic director at Ohio State, named Janine Oman, she presented me with an opportunity for an internship program. They were starting an internal internship program where athletes had an opportunity to intern with people that worked in the actual department.
Oh, sweet.
Because oftentimes athletes don't have time to go out and do a month-long internship because they have training throughout the off season.
Right.
This was a great opportunity for me to get exposed to the other side of athletics. I worked in the ticket office. It wasn't, a job I aspired to work in, but the relationships I was able to form, the exposure, the experience, and then I think ultimately the appreciation for the operation, right? Like as an athlete, you think about you just got to show up and play ball. Somebody got to put lines on that field. Somebody got to control parking, right? There's people that have jobs around sport, and I don't know that as an athlete I had that perspective until I got on the other side, and I think you just grow appreciation. Come full circle, after the internship experience, the summer of 2011, I then transitioned into, once ball was over with, bro, I stepped into a profession outside of athletics. And then I reached out to Gene Smith, who's the OG, man, just retired, 20-year vet at college at Ohio State. But I reached out to him via email, bro, and said, hey, Mr. Smith, my name is Jamie Wood. I don't know if you remember me, but I played these years. And he knew who I was. And I was like, man, I am in a transition right now and exploring a charter school AD opportunity. I'd love to talk to you before I take this job, because I'm really just considering a lot more options than just this opportunity. Come to find out, as we sat down and talked, there was a position that had just closed in compliance. And he reached out. He's like, well, if you want to work in college athletics, you want to get your master's and get it paid for, let's talk about this potential compliance opportunity. I had no experience other than I had probably violated some rules, and I was a part of the tattoo situation at Ohio State. So I had exposure to compliance, but it wasn't the most positive experience. I looked at compliance as like the feds. So
They is like they were. I mean, because anytime somebody's you got to report to somebody about something, or they can get you in trouble. Then
they're the
you
feds.
look at it like they the feds. My wife called me the feds for Debo.
Hey, and you might be.
I might be.
But I think there's what I learned from compliance of my experience there is like it's no different if you have a valuable company, right? Or if you have valued possessions, you put that thing in a safe, right?
Yeah.
You have protections, you have controls, you have policies, you have procedures. And I think that's how I began to reframe as I got into that compliance experience. It's like you have a valued asset of college Ohio State athletics. You need to have, because
Structure.
humans will human, people will people, and you're gonna and you're in a competitive environment. So educating is the foundation of compliance. Monitoring and policies and procedures is the next tier, and enforcement is the top of the pyramid. But it gets the most of the attention from people because the media picks up on it and it makes it like this big deal. When oftentimes there was education that was provided, there were policies that you could have attested to your violation, or you could have, and then
Now, is this
you got
managed
caught.
by the clearinghouse, NCAA clearinghouse, or is this compliance just internal? Like Ohio State has their own compliance
They
and
do.
then clearinghouse, or is the clearinghouse the standard, the overall umbrella that sets the standards for what those things?
The
should
clearinghouse
be?
is is an
Academic
academic
only. Okay.
evaluation. Yeah, the NCAA is a governing, and this is what again a lot of people don't understand. The NCAA is the institutions. All the conferences, all the schools, they have committees and positions where people within individual organizations. Gene Smith sat on multiple committees where they would gather and talk about these rules. Every year you had a legislative cycle where you could propose new rules, you could propose changes.
So it's almost ran like a union.
It's ran like a
It's
union,
very
or ran like the
unionized.
government, like the government.
Yeah.
Like no one person makes the decision.
Right.
There's voting bodies and the
Right.
judicial branch, the legislative branch. That is similar to the NCAA. And so when we used to selectively point blame at the conference. Coaches want to do this flamboyant thing that is violating rules, or we don't want to do. We would say, hey, well, we checked with the Big Ten. The Big Ten said no. And so, but what the media doesn't realize and what the general population doesn't realize is why we didn't get NIL years ago is because the people that were on those committees voted not to. They couldn't find a way to make that work. And I have opinions on why. It's sharing money with some black and brown kids, one of those things. And it's greed. I think there's a lot of greed in this sports. What started as just throwing the ball back and forth in the yard is now a big profit opportunity for a lot of families, but then also some of these entities and like the NCAA and like individual programs.
You said the lack of funding or having to share access to black and brown boys.
And girls.
And girls. Most people would say that most colleges have a lot of African American athletes, right?
They do.
And would you say that that's really all it would take is to say no, we don't want to share money with African American athletes? Like, I mean, or was there some type of mirage that was kind of set there to kind of make it look like it's this, but in all actuality, the who's kind of understand why it's not being passed, and then why now?
And so I'll say, I don't think it's explicitly that. I think when you think of systemic and how our country has been developed and the history that we have here, it's hard to not associate it with power, right? With greed, with money, and it's not just black and brown. It's class. It's like it's a variety of different layers, right, to it. But I think when you think about the athletic prowess being a valued asset, I think it's become clear as black people began to be given the opportunities that some of their white peers were given. It's like, oh, we'll let them on the field because they make our programs good.
Yeah.
If you think about Alabama and the players down in the South that got ingrained in the programming and integrated, we talk about integration. That was like, oh, your black body is valuable.
Right.
I'm not sure that those folks back then were truly considering any
U.S.
other
value.
things that have value in the individual. And I think this is a bigger issue than just black and white. It's humanizing athletes. That's one of my core principles as I roll out my business, man, is like humanize this person. This isn't just a commodity. This isn't just a dumb jock. This is a person with passion. This is a person with interests of their own. This is a person that also
This
might
is a person.
Yes, it's a person
Humanity,
first,
right?
not a player.
And so, I look at it like with most things that are successful, you cannot rip the humanity out of it, right? And when you look at that, like, and now things start to make sense for me because I'm looking and now it's like, okay, these college athletes have been going and bringing millions on billions of dollars to these universities without receiving a dime. That's slavery. No, they're getting scholarships. They're getting free schooling. They're getting to play on the big stage, right? So there is some give, but when you look at apples to apples, they're doing 360 contracts, man. It's a 360 contract. You're going to give me school and a chance to play football and maybe a chance to make it to the next level.
Very few.
Very few versus billions of dollars.
Yeah.
There's athletes now, and I be trying to tell these high schools, like, man, college is the new pro. Professionals is for the ones that really just love the game that much that they just want to play at that high level. You don't even have to go there. You can really focus on getting a 4-year degree, using that scholarship, right, to the best of your ability, make money while you in school, and really and truly, if you done beating up your body, take your degree and take your money after college and be like, I'm done with the game.
Yeah.
I'll give back to the game in another way, right? And I think of how many athletes probably have came through the years over the last, however long football's been around, hundreds of years. How long has it been around? It's been hundreds of years. Tossing the pigskin, not getting any real value in return. I think school is great, right? But school also causes debt. So that's why you have to give a scholarship. I can't ask you to come lay your body down on the line and not give you something for that, right? And I'm going to give you schooling, but schooling costs anyway. So instead of you paying it, we're going to pay it. So you don't have that debt when you leave because there's only a small fraction of players that leave and go to the NFL and go to the next level or even make anything out of it, right? If Burrows never transferred out of LSU, he wouldn't be the player he is today, flat out. Would he ever gotten a chance to start at Ohio State?
It's about opportunity. There's so many people on the bench that could be playing. I could have went probably somewhere else, barring no injury, and probably started. Probably played a lot sooner. And I think that's what you see now is with the portal, right? You see kids at mid-majors, at OUs, at Rhode Island, at some of these smaller institutions. Really, they're trying out. Every year is a free agent opportunity. You could play your way up to Power 5, and Power 5 institutions are recruiting a whole new crop of athletes now.
I mean, Deion said
impacting the high school kids too.
Yeah, Deion said it. He said, why would I go give out a whole bunch of scholarships to have high school athletes when they got this portal now? And this kid's already infiltrated into the college way of life. Yeah. They already understand it. The only difference is the difference in coaching and how much you got to do at college. You go D3, Muskingum, Mount Union, and any of these other schools, right? It's a different ball than Ohio State.
It is.
It's a different way of life for an athlete, but you're also not getting a scholarship at Mount Union. You're also not getting a lot of the perks that we give. And so, it is like this new era of football it's really business focused. And, I think that it can spring out of control if the proper structure, compliance, and those type of things aren't made straight. NIL's coming to high school. It's already in high school in some states, right? The athletes have that willpower. And this is just me being me. If I was an athlete and I was in college and I was making millions of dollars, right? Well, the only way you can really make all that money, you have to be somebody, right? You do have to still have that power. with Marvin Harrison. He had Bath and Body Works, right? That was a big NIL deal for him.
Mhm.
But it's Marvin Harrison. You got guys like Sonny and Lorenzo Styles who are now locking in smaller businesses on NIL deals and getting that type of money, right? So the college athlete has literally the forefront now to make everything that he wants to do and make it reality.
Yeah.
Ohio State can now pay athletes, right?
They can't.
They can't. Did they reverse that?
It wasn't approved.
It wasn't approved?
You're talking about the House settlement and
Yeah.
resolution. It's not been approved yet. It's pending. The expectation is that it will be. I personally don't think that how it's currently written is going to be approved, and the judge confirmed that. So that's still in the works. But right now, collectives are what you see paying a lot of athletes, and that's like a separate LLC,
Right.
essentially laundering money on behalf of the institution, with guidance from people within the institution.
The same stuff y'all got in trouble for.
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say
in a way.
I wouldn't say that. I think that there's more details into that made that a rule. But now that it's permitted, the basic rule of thumb with NIL is you have to do something to get something. Quid pro quo. And it can't. How it was originally written, based off the NCAA's rules, is it's not pay for play. So there's no bounties, no incentives. You score a touchdown, you get X. You do this. However,
that's gambling.
To some regard, in some regard, but what you can't argue and what you have to admit is that the person that scores X amount of touchdowns is typically on camera more, is getting more attention, and is in the news. So their influence is growing. Their name, image, likeness will be of greater desire because of what they've done on the field. And so right now, because of this employment piece, athletes aren't employees yet. I think that's where we're headed, is some quasi-employment dynamic where they're going to be clearly defined as this. Now, that's going to come with a bunch of ramifications. You're getting fired, you're getting cut.
Right. That's why
all of those
I was
pieces.
just about to say
I don't know that athletes are really ready for that piece. Many are just looking at the money.
But how do you take something that's so skill-based, right? And the success is based off of skill.
Right.
And then turn it into a job to where it's a career. You're already giving these kids, right, the scholarship. They got the scholarship because they had the skill to come here and play and help the team receive the number one ultimate goal, which is to win a national championship, right? Get to that highest peak of the season.
Mm-hmm.
And then make them and turn them around and make them employees and fire them. You wouldn't have fired him. How will you fire me? That's what I don't understand. Like, I think that's the middle ground that I don't get, because how do you fire me when it's my skill taking us here? How do you fire Jeremiah Smith?
But I think it we're not there yet. So all this is hypothetical.
Right.
But like when you're not performing, when you do get in trouble off campus, when you do, those are fireable offenses. If we're going to play that game.
They're already firing kids for smoking. You test positive for marijuana. You off
to some extent. But this, without regulation, without like when we go to this model, it's almost like an employee agreement. If you violate rules in your employee agreement, you agreed to the manual you did not read when you got your first hired, your orientation documents, it has a bunch of different fireable offenses because you are an at-will employee. So
now we sign an
or
NFL
now you're
contracts.
a contracted employee. So this is where agents, this is where players associations, unions, all of those things are now being discussed, because there does need to be a regulatory body that serves the athletes. The NCAA is for institutions. And as much as Jamie Wood cared about players and was player first, I had a responsibility as a compliance officer to make sure that I protect the institution.
My bottom line is Ohio State.
I'm being paid by Ohio State. And so when I was on that side, I like to think that I was player first, right? I think it came to an extent I was. When it came to my job, I'm not about to get fired for some player.
Right, exactly.
And I think that's where right now there's a gap and there's a chasm between the athlete and the institution, because the institution also employs the coaches, but the coaches also have an agent, right? So like there's the athlete representation, athlete advising, athlete consulting. That's exactly why I'm moving into this space, is because I realized they're just out here trusting Joe and
Yeah.
and Bill and whoever that is in a suit and can use big words and maybe knows a little bit. I actually worked on the other side.
Mhm.
So now that I'm free and I'm kind of my own entity, there's a perspective that I can offer both as a player, as a compliance person, and then having worked at NIL at A&M. I feel like I have a broad perspective of this space.
When you look at the future of college athletics and college sports, where are we in 5 years?
Man, where are we in a month?
Right.
I think that's probably the case. There was a lawsuit yesterday. Braylon Edwards and Denard Robinson, a bunch of Michigan players, are suing $50 million or so Michigan because their name, image, likeness has been used as former players without compensation. So they're trying to get back pay.
Yeah. Which they rightfully do.
And that's where we keep getting the NCAA is, I will say, undefeated in losing lawsuits. So I don't know, man. I think there's going to be.
So they're suing the NCAA?
Yeah, they're suing. I mean, when
so
you
anytime you sue an institution, you're suing the NCAA.
Essentially, because they are a member institution. You are a member of the NCAA as an institution. And so there is an element.
That's how the NCAA can kick schools out, put all these bans and all this type of stuff, all the stuff you hear with Jim Harbaugh going through and all that type of stuff, because this is really unionized, man. It's really like just like how they run a union.
I don't know much about union work, so you probably attest to that better than me. But essentially, there's a governance, there's a structure, there's regulatory affairs that the common folk don't understand.
Yeah,
that is the reason why some of these things are more challenging to. Common sense is not common. Like there's typically a reason and rationale behind some of these rules.
When you look at So when I look at, like, all right, they legalize marijuana, right? They legalize certain things, and then they go out and they get everybody out of jail. Well, if that was your only charge,
reparations, essentially, yeah,
exactly. You get out, right? They're not probably giving them nothing, back pay or nothing like that, but you get out. NIL comes onto the scene. Is it not safe to say that you would think once this thing is really cemented, that all players, Reggie Bush, all of these guys that came before, will want to come back and get because their name and their image is still being used. Reggie Bush is still talked about. They still talking about putting him on covers of games and this and how does I mean? I feel like that just causes a big explosion and eruption for something that I feel like they're trying to make anew, right? And they're trying to do it now and move forward with it. But how do you compensate all those guys on the back end?
Well, I think you can't. Statute of limitations has, there's a certain amount of years that you can really go back and claw back.
But we're talking about like now.
But I think in continued use of my name, image, likeness,
exactly,
is a conversation that every institution needs to be having, and every athlete probably.
Jerseys are still selling of mines,
and I think that's where NIL happened to college athletics. It didn't have. They don't see it as like something that is positive and forward. There are people within the ecosystem that do believe and see it and are riding the wave, and that's where you see some institutions having success. But there are majority of people. This was done reluctantly. Many people don't have the answers on the institutional side, and they're still seeking advice, seeking perspective, and they're figuring it out. So to think that the families and the athletes know what to do, or these agents know what to do, the departments don't even know what to do, and so everybody's trying to figure out how to make sense of this and how to harness NIL in a positive way. But in a lot of ways, it's disrupting a lot of things. I personally don't believe disruption is bad. I think destruction
causes
maybe
awareness.
Challenging. Disruption can be healthy. That's where Airbnb came up. That's where Uber came up. It forces you to innovate. It forces you to change and to think about things different.
Well, I think, like I said, awareness. A lot of times we get stuck in these same ruts, right? And we're just not aware of the other endless possibilities of how things could go, right? A lot of people didn't see certain things as one way until COVID happened. And then now things are shut down. Yeah. And now you happy for DoorDash.
Yeah.
You happy for Uber Eats.
Right.
Before then, you was cussing them out. Why the food so much?
Right.
Because you understand now it's for convenience.
It is.
It was never meant to sell you something at the same price the store's selling it. If you want that, go to the store.
Yeah.
It's just like if you buy shoes on StockX,
You're gonna pay.
you're going to pay.
Mm-hmm.
You go to Foot Locker. You want to get them at retail price, find them when they hit the stores and stand in that line. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so, I think the awareness is a big thing. This is the last thing just as far as impact of NIL.
Yeah.
When you look at what's one thing that's would be surprised to learn about NIL that a lot of people aren't aware of, and something that you feel like could come down the pipeline of something that would just almost make people step back like, whoa, what happened? I mean, because you got experience on that side.
Yeah.
Has there been any insights? And I know a lot of this stuff is probably like very well guarded and stuff like that, but is there even a hunch that you might have had about NIL, positive or negative, that you feel like is going to just blow some people's minds away?
I would say it may not blow minds, but I think we're overcomplicating a lot of this stuff. I think when you dangle money as the only thing to these kids, you're going to lose people for that very thing. Somebody else is going to outbid you. And so what I believe would benefit a lot of departments, a lot of sports organizations, even when you think about Pick Central, like what is our unique value proposition? When we are trying to pitch our institution to these kids, what is it? And to me, Pick Central, we'll use them for an example. You got Jamie Wood, you got Zach Bourne, you got Chaz Anderson, you got all of these pipelines of talent. You got Taco Charlton, you got Roger. Like, that is the unique value proposition.
I mean, we haven't even touched the surface.
There's so many more, but that is it, right? Like, that is a part of the value. The other thing, when you had a coach like Coach Jay Sherritt, he had years of winning, right? Winning. Unique value proposition. The education at Pick Central. The access to guidance counselors and support that is different than some of these other institutions. Why the city is coming out this way? Some of it is that, right? And it's the housing, it's the way, it's the community, it's the way of being or the lifestyle you get to live. And then some of it is just the perception of different, right? It's that. And so I just think institutions and people and organizations and teams need to look inward before they start trying to go attach themselves to any and every brand. Who are you?
And look at that often, right? Like every year, most boards get together and put together what is our mission statement this year. It cannot be what they did last year, because the goal is this year to exceed, get better than what we did last year. And when I look at Pick Central, one of the things that for me is always the gift of gab. People talk about when I explain Picker to the people, I tell people, listen, I came from the hood, and when I get off on 256, the reason why I'm back here today is when I used to get off 256, it was a sense of peace. So like, you ain't gotta hear gunshots every day. You ain't gotta hear this every day. Crazy stuff happen everywhere. Right. Got crazy people everywhere. It's a different type of crazy out here, though. And I can deal with this type of crazy versus the crazy I was exposed to. Jamie, I know you have your business that you're launching and your own ventures. Talk about that. Talk about what do you want your impact to be as far as your business when it comes down to education purposes, when it comes down to player development, when it comes down to NIL education. What is it that you want people to take from you?
I said it earlier, man. It's like humanizing these athletes. You are a human athlete, not a student athlete. I think oftentimes they attach themselves to the things that they do. Who are you? It's starting there. And so when I think about hyphenated athletics, for me, hyphenated is a way of being. For me, I am a multifaceted, multifunctioning, multi-interested individual. And so I believe that no person is one thing. And so when you think about the act of a hyphen, it connects various things, right? And so as I think about the business and what is going to help drive this industry and this space forward, and then ultimately I think help people live their fullest lives, is when they have spaces and opportunities to be all that they are, right? And to be the dad that you want to be the creative that you want to be the employee that you want to be. All of those things are important to you. So therefore our organizations and our spaces need to make space for that. But for me, when it comes to NIL, it's really having all of those perspectives and those experiences and leveraging that to provide insights and awareness and perspective to people. I don't have the answer. And I tell people this all the time. I believe the answer is within you. My job is to talk with you, to give you information, to help you get gather all the data that you need so that you make an informed decision based off the values that you deem are important to you. I can't tell you what is important to you. And I think oftentimes coaches, people, we talk at people and we give them, this is the path you should take. But you don't know. No, let's give them the skills to actually charter their own path based off the values and the things that are living inside of them and driving them. And I think if money is it, okay, well let's consider money, but maybe we also need to look at all these other elements. And like for me, I didn't need money. I wasn't choosing a school based off of money. I had support, I had family. But for some people, that is driving their decision because that mom has struggled and worked 3 jobs all their life. I didn't have that situation. So dealing with people and providing customized care support is really what I'm starting with in the first version of how I'm providing insights and advising and consulting with families and athletes.
You think about some of the athletes that have had to go down those types of journeys. I mean, and great athletes. I mentioned earlier Reggie Bush. USC was paying for his mom and everybody to live. That was important for him, right? And I think you hit it right on the nail. Like if we can stop ripping humanity out of these athletes and start treating them like they're human beings, asking them what matters to you at the next level. Because man, you got a lot of skill. Ohio State could really use you. You could be an asset at a Division I powerhouse school, right? Yeah, that's cool, coach, but man, like, I can't leave my mom here in the hood. Like, I can't leave her here. I would like to move her somewhere, It ain't gotta be a house or nothing, but while I'm in school and I can't be with her to protect her because where I come from, they don't care about moms. I need her to be close to me, or I need her to be somewhere where I can get to her. I need availability to be able to see my mom. I need a coach that will understand my family means everything to me. So on Sundays, I know you might want to do film at that time. I don't know how we got to work it out, but I need to go to church with my family. You get what I'm saying? Like and a lot of times it's not crazy
It's
request.
not rocket science, bro.
It's not. It's life, man.
But it's giving them agency and giving them a voice and empowering them to be able to have these desires and interests and not feel like they have to suppress and do away with that. To me, a healthy relationship with a coach and with a leader and in employees and teammates is to be able to express, oh, that didn't feel good. I didn't like when you said that. Like that is a healthy dynamic in a relationship. And I unfortunately, I feel like some of the power dynamics in sport is that you shut up and dribble.
Right.
Shut up and run up and down the field.
Right.
When like, nah, these are grown men.
Right.
With more money than you.
Right.
And more influence than you. And you see that now happening now where they're leveraging that and they're becoming more aware of it. And I think empowerment without education is dangerous. You could just be empowered and go blow up everything, right? But I think educating them and equipping them with the right insights and perspective, understanding the vantage points of other people it can help you navigate this space that is extremely complex and is ever changing. It'll help you move in this space with more confidence.
Now, there's so many people that have a microscope on coaches. But now we live in a day and age where there's trainers on the sidelines. There's athletic development coaches on the sidelines. These players have access to multiple influences in all different types of space, whether it's their body training, whether it's their spiritual. I mean, a lot of these guys are Christians. They subscribe to a church. They have a pastor that they also listen to, right? To get guidance from. And sometimes I know as a kid, man, when you have so many voices in your ear, it can almost make the process a little bit harder. What questions, or not questions, what advice would you have to a young athlete? Because I hear like, okay, coaches can do this, they can do that. And I believe that from a leadership standpoint, so many coaches can do that. But I also believe that it's more about empowering the athlete to also open his mouth and ask for these things, and to request these things. How can these athletes start in doing that? Start empowering their own selves. What do they need to be doing? What are the things that they need to be paying attention to so that they can be better suited? They know what to ask for. Man, I can't blame the coach during season that's not really tapped into the feelings, because his goal is week by week to get a win.
Yeah.
It's to get the dub.
Yeah.
It's to train, all that, right? And I think that's the difference in what makes a great head coach. Great head coach can do that and still be relational. Because a pastor has to do that. A pastor has to prepare all week for a sermon, get up there, preach a sermon, but still has to go visit the sick, still has to go visit this, still has to go do all that, right? It's part of the calling. Yeah. How do kids get that, and how do they request it?
So establishing a process right now where we evaluate your ecosystem. Mm-hmm. Who is in your circle? What are they doing? What do you expect them to be doing? What are they capping and saying they can do? Because there's a lot of cap in this space right now, with it being wide open and nobody knowing which way to go. There's a lot of people entering this space presenting themselves as if they're experts and that they know the answers. My challenge to families and athletes is to do your research, to ask the questions, to look for reliable resources that either have experience or are pointing you in the right direction, and test it, right? No different than when you go, you go do some work on your car. You're going to do the diagnostic. You're going to check your sources. Why are we not doing that with this? And I think the other thing is sometimes we blindly trust the institutions, when in reality, they have their best interest in mind. They're going to tell you what you want to hear. They're going to tell you how you want to hear it. And you're going to have all the questions. You're a first-round draft pick. I see you in the league. And in reality, they may. That's why they're recruiting you. But the reality is you got a long way to get there. And so I'd rather look for an honest person. Don't surround yourself with yes people. And I think sometimes we want people that make us feel good, but I think when it comes to this business and this path that you're on, you need truth tellers. And so seeking them out is important, and doing your due diligence ultimately is what I think is extremely important. And that's where having a system versus feelings versus emotion versus he got a nice chain and he works with LeBron and he does this. Why are you making decisions off of that? Yeah. And then also mom. Love moms, right? My mom ain't no doctor, so I'm not having her do surgery on me. As much as I love my mom, as influential and as wise as she's been in every step of my journey, you are not cutting me open with a knife. I'm going to the surgeon. So validating and approving and kind of validating the people that you surround yourself with based off of their expertise is extremely important.
I think that was fire. You said You said, listen, we got to start diagnosing the situations, diagnosing the athlete's life, diagnosing why is he late, right? Don't just punish him.
Right.
Why is he late?
Ask more questions.
So now we found out mom, work, he got to get here. He don't always have money to get an Uber. Can't nobody always pick him up. What solutions can now we present?
We don't have EJ or Coach Jackson. Exactly. Gonna go pick him up.
Exactly.
Or we're gonna have one of the seniors go.
And I think that will bring so much good to the sport, because it's now creating a village where we have to start being responsible for each other. You think about all the great athletes, LeBron James, his story, just being a kid, fatherless, right? A lot of people had to help and step in and be a village for him, right? So that he could be the person that he is now. And then what? He comes back and he's thanking everybody because by his lifestyle, by the way that he lives, by the things that he's doing. Every athlete I know, Buster Douglas, any athlete I've heard about, man, they always had a village. They had to have people pouring. I think that's something that we have slowly gotten away from, the village mentality. And, you can just see it in everyday life. You ain't even got to see it in sports. I see people's kids out here doing crazy stuff all the time. And that parent will get upset at you if you say something to his kid.
Right.
I think that's the out-of-pocket piece. That's why we're lost. That's why kids ain't speaking up. That's why they ain't saying nothing. Back in the day, man, people knew. Oh, them Wayne's boys. Yo, bro, hey. All right, bet. Come on. Let's walk on down here to your daddy. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, and you got to start allowing people to be a village for your kids. When they see your kid messing up, they know what type of athlete he is. I guarantee you, and this is one thing. So when you look at like, and when I'm looking at the situation as far as just the village piece, you know, you look at I look at a lot of our African American homes. We got to do better with that. I feel like we're the ones who kind of gotten away from that. I could tell you like this: if Brocco, quarterback for Pick Central, is out doing something crazy, everybody named Mama gonna stop him and say, "Yo, they're gonna report back to coach. They gonna be a village for him." Can we do that within our own communities? Every community needs that. You get what I'm saying? And I feel like that's a big lapse of judgment when you look at educational purposes, when you look at these kids just wanting to, and they're smart. They got access to so much more, man. My kids, 4.
Yeah.
You know how to work a whole TV, all that, man. We wasn't doing none of that. You know what I'm saying? So, like, the advancements of technologies, I feel like have paved the way for kids to be able to start speaking up, start asking the questions, start being transparent, be truthful. And I think then that's when it comes on to the coach to create an environment for them to be able to do so now everybody can work together.
I think, EJ, on that point, I think it behooves parents to continue to grow and develop. Like, I think when you stop learning as an adult, like for me, I love learning. I love podcasts. I love listening, getting perspective from people because I feel like it keeps me growing, right? I'm not the same once I finish when I listen to this podcast, right? I hopefully people grow from this. But I think sometimes when it comes to this, the monotonous school pipeline, right? Like, kid just show up to school. That's my babysitter for the day. That whole mindset, like, I think parents have to raise the bar for themselves, but also for their kids, and coaches have to do the same. But I think what I sense in coaching, and I've been around it at the college level, is some of these coaches are afraid because some of these things have been used against them. We got cancel culture. We got all of these things. And so you can't really make a mistake, or that one family is going to find that hole and they're going to run with it and post it on social media. And now you're canceled and you can't coach anymore.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot at play in that dynamic. But even if you think about when you see fights, we got people recording fights, not breaking up fights. So there's that whole bystander. Like, we don't feel connected.
I'm not
enough
tied into that.
Yeah.
But everybody want to march when the person died.
Yeah, man.
You get what I'm saying?
I continue learning, growing, and we have to provide information in a way that parents can receive.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And sometimes the coach ain't the person to relay that information. That's
Right.
what I'm talking. Yeah.
Yeah,
Go
and,
ahead.
and you was right. I think parents definitely have to start saying, I want to grow too. You know, I think it's so delightful that I see my dad on Instagram. Not because he ain't got no profile pic, which is super weird, Pops. Get a profile pic. Next time I'm over the house, we gotta set your account up because you ain't got no bio.
Help him out with his brand, bro.
Right. But I love the fact he's on there because it shows me that he wants to be more aware about what's going on, right? And my dad is somebody in their 60s. You got young parents out here that's raising kids and raising generations like myself. I'm 34 years old. I got 2 kids, 8 and 4.
Yeah.
Right? Like you need to. You ain't hit no pinnacle yet of life. You ain't at
Not
your
done.
best. Not at all.
No.
So what you need to be doing is continuously growing, continuously trying to be everything you need to be so that the better you are, the better that kid is.
100%.
Now you can see that kid going down that route, and now you can be like Michael Jordan's mom. When you can smell it from the, I'm negotiating a deal. You're going to be straight, baby.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it takes the willing to want to do that. Jamie, I think from when we talked about your career, we talked about your life, we've talked about growing up, Pickerington, ball, NIL, college sports. Ultimately, what is the end goal for Jamie Wood? Or do you even know what that looks like right now?
I don't, man. I think another play on the brand of Hyphenated is between birth and death. We talk about a dash. I call it a hyphen. We don't know how long we have, right? And so for me, man, I'm really present right now. You know, being in Columbus, being able to shoot this right now for the past, 2 weeks, still living in Texas. So I am just where I'm at. and trying to make the most of each day, bro.
Yeah.
And I think for me, I am trying to figure out how to reel in all of my hyphens, the different interests that I have, the different skill sets and experiences I've had, and package it in a way that it could be of value to other people. I think God allows us to go through and overcome and navigate challenges, not to, to act like it doesn't exist and to run to this glorious life. He wants us to go back to that and to leverage that to provide opportunity or insight or perspective to somebody else that might be going through this. Nothing is original, and there's kids that's growing up with two different households. There's kids that got moved to Germany. Like, I'm not the first and the last. And so how can I leverage my experiences, the things that I've learned, to be able to help a younger me to be what I didn't have? Even though I had great support, I didn't use my voice a lot. I didn't have a confidant. I didn't have a big brother. I was the oldest. And so having someone that they could lean into and they could talk with, and even just some of the challenges that I'm still navigating with my family and different dynamics, man, I'm continuing to grow. I ain't done. And so being human, acknowledging all parts of that, what that experience looks like, and then the interconnectedness that we have, man. Like, I love that I'm on your pod, bro. These are things that I love to do, and to see you grow inspires me to continue to grow. I got a camera at home. I want to start a podcast. So I think we are all just inspiring each other, and we're meant to help each other, man. We're here to love each other, and that can look a variety of different ways, man. And so I appreciate you having me on, bro. I'm grateful for this opportunity, and I wish you nothing but the best as you continue to give people a platform to share and continue to use your gifts that God has given you.
Likewise, Jamie, man. I think what you got going is great. I think even the idea to even think to want to be selfless and for others, just to have that right here, right? Whatsoever a man thinketh in his heart, so is he, right? And I feel like I can really see your heart in hyphenated athletics. I think that anytime you're edifying students and pouring out is a great thing. What's next for hyphenated athletics? When are we going? What should we be looking for? Is there content that's looking to come out? Or are you just planning on doing more podcasts to talk more about it? What does that look like?
A little bit of all of that. So right now the website is just a landing page, and it gives a brief explanation or a hint at what it is. But right now I'm still formalizing the business model right now.
Gotcha.
I'm working with a couple athletes, a couple families. I'm going to speak at a bunch of different schools and working with some programs. So right now it's kind of just the Jamie show, building it out. But my vision is to have a team of people to build some like-minded. I want Hyphenated to be like an ethos, a culture, and that people adapt or adopt into how they operate and build and kind of run their organizations. But it's bigger than sport too. And I think that's something that I want athletes to realize is like, sport is what you do. It's not who you are. And I think that goes to any job or any role that we take on. You are a dad. Like you play the role of husband, father, all of these things, but you are EJ at the end of the day, and there's more to you than what you do.
Yeah, and I think guys, if you guys are watching this episode, man, take from that. Like, just look at how many athletes. I mean, it was great to see Tom Brady, right, suit up. But you know how much edifying it was to see him do his first hosting show, where he's commentating and doing stuff. It just shows you there is life after sports, right? And focus on that. I think that's my gem for everybody. Focus on what does life look like after this. Where do you really want to be? You may not even have the answer right now, but let that be in the back of your head. Let that simmer as you're going through high school, as you're going through college. Think about, all right, football will end one day. Zach Bourne and the Bournes knew football would end one day,
and they
pivoted, right?
Yeah,
it's the same thing. What's the old boy he played for Ohio State? Big dude, played DN. He's now a host. I forget
Doug Worthington.
No, not Worthington. Either way. I love seeing athletes transition. The best of the best have transition. LeBron James will eventually transition
at 60 years old.
At 60, LeBron ain't jumping out the league until his kids is like at GOAT level.
He gonna play with both sons.
I believe he will play with both sons, but I definitely believe that even LeBron, as he's going through his career, all the moves and stuff he's made, schools and different things he's done, is to set up after.
He is doing it. He is the prototype, the model that I would love, even just with what he did with his team that he surrounded himself with.
Yeah.
Those are his day ones, but they didn't just leech off of him.
Exactly.
They are producing. They're not consumers.
And on top of that, they didn't leech in a way to where they're just asking to do stuff that they ain't good in. And if they weren't good in it, he sent them to school. Go get good in it.
Go work at an agency.
Go work at an agency. And then eventually
You can leverage my name, image, likeness.
you get what I'm saying?
We done.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So make sure y'all tap in, man. Make sure y'all follow Jamie. Jamie, how can they follow you?
Yeah, so it's Jamie Wood Official on my personal IG. Hyphenated Athletics will be a page as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have it in my bio. My link tree's on there, so you can kind of see the website as well. But that's it, man. Follow me right now. And on LinkedIn, I'm pretty active on there as well. If you're not tapped into LinkedIn, if you have business aspirations, or even if you're an athlete, lock into LinkedIn. That's where business happens.
Yeah, I know it's hard, guys. I know LinkedIn can be very boring. I struggle with it myself. Trust me, and I'm an avid believer in being on LinkedIn, but I'm not even on it myself like that. But we should be.
Yeah.
Business is only going to be around where businesses are, and LinkedIn is definitely the social media page. For sure. So, man, hey, I appreciate y'all tapping in. I hope you guys were able to extract some gems from this episode. I hope that you guys take with you that, village. We need village, right? We need accountability. We need structure. All these things, all these systems, NCAA, NFL, all these things operate by these things.
Yeah.
The things that are the best of the best operate very well because they have systems, they have operations, they have all the aesthetics and everything that you need to make sure that the business is running well. If you do not have those things, then you're just a guy flying by the seat of your pants, and eventually you get nowhere. You know what I'm saying? So make sure y'all tap in. Make sure y'all go follow Hyphenated Athletics. I'm about to go follow them soon as. Is the IG page up? It's not up. Okay, so
handle though.
Okay. So when it comes up, make sure you look out for that. Follow Jamie's page, man. A bright dude, man. Not just on podcasts. You're gonna be able to extract gems from his stories and everything, man. He's very inspiring. So and Jamie, once again, I appreciate you being on the show, man. Shout out once again. Rest in peace, Red Pop. Rest in peace, Pat White, and all the great ones, man, that we have lost before us. If you don't do it for anybody, find somebody to do it for. Find somebody. There's somebody that loves you that much that you can cast your cares on and say, hey, even if you're not a believer in Jesus, find somebody else, man, to cast your cares on, man, and to motivate you. And I truly appreciate y'all, man. This has been one for the books. Next episode is episode 30. Who should I bring on? I'm not sure yet. I got a slew of people, but I feel like 30 should be a great way to end season 2, and then we'll be moving on to season 3, man. And we're gonna be doing some more out the den stuff. Look for bigger, great interviews, man. Listen for the gems. That's the only reason I do this, man, so that y'all can extract the gems, man. It's your boy Eddie Jackson. Make sure you follow the page at the Director's Den Podcast on all social media platforms. Make sure you follow me at I am Eddie Jackson, and I'll see you next time. Peace.
My God. Good stuff, man.
Yes, sir. How you doing, Drop?
What's that?